Darth Maul is one of the most iconic figures in Star Wars, but most people only know him as the silent, tattooed weapon unleashed in The Phantom Menace. What they don't talk about enough is how he got there. The years of brutal conditioning, psychological warfare, and Sith philosophy that turned a stolen child into the perfect instrument of the dark side. Today, we explore the grim reality of Maul's time as Darth Sidious's apprentice. It's a dark journey. Let's begin. Maul was born on Dathomir, son of Mother Talzin, leader of the Night Sisters. He was taken by Sidious as a very young child, essentially stolen from his mother. Now, Sidious didn't do this out of necessity. He had Darth Plagueis as his own master. He wasn't looking for a replacement. What he wanted was a weapon, a living, breathing instrument of the dark side that he could aim and fire. From the beginning, Sidious framed Maul's entire existence around one purpose: to hate the Jedi. Every lesson, every scar, every moment of pain was designed to make Maul's rage precise and permanent. The training Maul endured was nothing like what Jedi Padawans experienced. There was no compassion in it. Sidious tested Maul constantly, physically, mentally, and through the Force. One of the most telling stories from canon comes from the Son of Dathomir comic and supporting material. Sidious would put Maul in scenarios designed not just to challenge him, but to break him and see if he could reassemble himself. Failure meant punishment. Success meant harder trials. Sidious also took Maul to places steeped in the dark side to accelerate his connection to it. The goal wasn't to teach Maul to use the Force the way a Jedi would. It was to make Maul an extension of Sidious's will through the Force. And critically, Sidious never taught Maul the full depth of Sith philosophy. The rule of two means the apprentice is kept powerful but limited. Maul knew enough to be lethal. He didn't know enough to threaten his master. Here's where it gets complicated. Maul genuinely believed in Sidious. He wasn't a reluctant servant, he was a devoted one. He craved his master's approval. He wanted to prove himself worthy. That's what makes Maul tragic rather than just villainous. He was conditioned so completely that his sense of identity was his service to Sidious. He didn't have a self outside of being an apprentice. His purpose, his pride, his rage, all of it was oriented around the Sith and the mission. The Nightbrother tattoos cover his entire body. In canon, those weren't just aesthetic. They were part of who he was shaped to become. Intimidation, ferocity, a visual declaration that he was something other than human. And Sidious knew exactly what he was building. He once told Maul that he was the culmination of Sith training, that everything Sidious had endured under Plagueis had been poured into creating him. Whether that was true or just manipulation to keep Maul loyal, that's the question. By the time of The Phantom Menace, Maul was ready. Years of training had produced exactly what Sidious wanted: a silent, efficient killer who could take on two Jedi and nearly win. And then Obi-Wan cut him in half. What Sidious did next tells you everything about how he viewed Maul. He moved on, immediately. Count Dooku was already waiting in the wings. Maul wasn't irreplaceable, he was expendable. That's the Sith way, and Sidious practiced it coldly. When Maul survived and was eventually found by his brother Savage Opress, he had lost his mind entirely. Sidious's conditioning had given him no foundation to hold onto without his purpose. His identity collapsed, and when Sidious did come back for Maul in the Clone Wars, it wasn't out of sentiment. It was because Maul had become a variable he needed to control. He brutally defeated Maul, killed Savage in front of him, and told Maul plainly, "You have too much potential to kill, but you are no longer my apprentice." He kept Maul alive as a tool, nothing more. That's the arc of Maul's apprenticeship. A child taken. A mind shaped entirely around hatred and service. A weapon deployed and then discarded the moment a better option came along. What's remarkable about Maul in canon is that even after all of that, even after Sidious threw him away, part of Maul still defined himself in relation to his former master. That's how thorough the conditioning was. The Sith rule of two isn't just a power structure, it's a psychological trap. The apprentice pours everything into becoming worthy of the title, and the master never truly sees them as anything more than a stepping stone. Maul was the best weapon Sidious ever made, and Sidious treated him exactly like one. If you want more deep dives into Sith lore and Star Wars canon, subscribe